one of my Destiny buddies is like coming, and I'm like, what? And he's like, well, it's about to be your lunch break. My dude, it's Saturday. I'm about to start recording my podcast. Like he has the same thing for Wednesdays because he's in our D&D group, our Wednesday D&D group. So it's like, hey, by the way, it's Wednesday, so we're busy tonight. You and me, because we're going to be at the same place at the same time. So, and then I said, we will not go quietly into the night. We will not surrender without a fight. Sorry, I was doing that thing instead of the speech like we had discussed for the cold open. So here we are. But
here we are.
Works.
Super confusing because it's July 3rd and we are not doing Independence Day, which is totally a perfect movie. So missed opportunity there, but
speaking of having your head stuck in fantasy and sci-fi as much as possible, I've been reading the latest Stormlight Archive books that I've talked with Alex about runningly a little bit. I think I've gotten to the what's it called? Sanderson Avalanche Atlantis. What's the word?
Sanderlanche?
Sanderlanche, that's the word. There's like 4 hours left on the audiobook or something.
Oh, well, a lot of people would say that he didn't do one in Rhythm of War.
Mean, the things in the end and the tower that's happened so far, that seems pretty lame. But maybe not as much as before.
Not as much as Oathbringer. I don't know. It was still good. It's like, and the ending is still like, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah, I'm still a little away from that.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to it. I plan on finishing it tonight, I think.
He hits the climax and then it just like steamrolls you to the end of the book or something. Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
Yeah, usually. It's like it builds, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, showtime, and then it just goes for the rest of the book.
Nice. He tried some different things with Rhythm of War to change the pacing of it to make it a little bit better, and it worked. It did feel a little bit different, but it still didn't feel different enough to notice that he did much. If I hadn't heard him talk about it, because there was still the intense ending. It was just the middle to the end velocity was a little bit different than before.
I mean, I quite enjoyed this one so far. It's very world building heavy, and I really like that.
So you're saying that he changed the Rhythm of War? Okay, so we're insufferable. I'm insufferable like this at all times. So Galaxy Quest, that's the movie we went with this time. So perfect movie, really. So director, this is her first time seeing it,
Yeah, maybe I'm just not the target audience.
Yeah, I would imagine. I don't think you have the right kind of like foundation and history to kind of understand a lot of the in jokes and Right. I'm not trying to be like,
Well, so after watching the movie, I looked through all of the trivia and at least the what's up on IMDb, and they like, well, this mannerism is from that thing. This thing is lampooning Shatner. That thing is from like the terrible things that like of the old Star Trek. It's like, I get that. And I didn't know all of those mannerisms that they were doing. And so maybe some amount of it is I just couldn't appreciate the parody because I didn't know it was doing that other's own stupid thing. But mostly I just, even knowing that it was being parody and expecting all of these things that even if I didn't recognize them, I just didn't think it was as good as it could have been. And I think it was because they toned it down to be more PG instead of going as darker and more crazy that they should have.
Oh, imagine that. Imagine the director wanting something darker.
But they didn't let her say fuck that. Like they had to edit that down and take it.
They did. So yeah, there are problems. So it's funny too because my theatrical release version is different than everybody else's because I actually got to see it as a preview, and so at the time we were doing my first podcast called iSci-Fi, and I think they might even still be out there. At least their website is. Because we kind of handed it off to some other friends after a while, but we got pretty hard and heavy into seeing like pre-release movies and stuff. Like most movies coming out, they started doing it, especially as like a marketing ploy, where it's like you get 1 or 2 or 3 showings of a movie that's upcoming. You fill the theater, it gives them a bunch of marketing and word of mouth buzz and that sort of thing. So we were doing that. We'd give away tickets, whatever. We went to Galaxy Quest, and the fun anecdote is we sat behind some of the production crew's family. I want to say writer. So like they're in the movie theater. So this will tell you it's a perfect movie, right? In the entire movie theater, there are 2 rows that are laughing at the jokes, and it's us and the people in front of us. And we're like, so after the movie, we're like, are we the only ones that get this movie? Like, what's going on? They're like, oh, this is actually our 3rd time seeing it. We're like, how? This is a preview show. And they're like, oh yeah, well, we're like so-and-so's family and whatever. So fun little anecdote for that. But yeah, like I'm losing the thread. So you know, it's, you gotta have the thing. So, okay. So Darker, let's circle back around to that. I thought that was kind of interesting reading the trivia this time. I think the darker elements. Oh, right. I was saying, so the reason why I got it differently with the fuck that and the chompers and everything like that, like all of that shit was in the original release, and then they kind of like cleaned it up a little bit later. But yeah, like if in between the lines, like they don't explicitly say it all the time, but it's mostly just because of a result of the Thermians. But it's like, you know, that planet that you see them docked at later, that's like 75% gone, is presumably their homeworld. The fact that they're talking about that they're all that's left, you know, that like the entire Thermian race now resides on that spaceship, you know, like all of that shit is there. You just don't get more than the torture or, you know, the at least 2 on-screen moments of torture. The fact that they were going to like suffocate these people to death. It's pretty dark. They just camped up the humor, you know. You got to go digging for the dark themes, I guess, you know. But yes, it is much better when she says fuck that instead of screw that, you know. Right. And you can still see it, right? Like if you're reading her lips, she says fuck that. So
I did like that the director like wanted her to give a bad reading for the dub just to make it so obvious that they had dubbed it over.
Right.
But my favorite part of it was Alan Rickman being miserable.
Yeah. Alan Rickman does a really good job being miserable.
Yes.
You know, we got Snape, Marvin the robot. So
yeah, that's like it reminded me that he was the voice of Marvin. It's like, yes, because that is him being miserable is quite fun. And like there's that, and Sam Rockwell freaking out about that he's totally the red shirt guy. Was my 2 favorite parts.
Yeah.
And what if you had a comedic relief or whatever he says to him?
Yeah.
Plucky? Yeah.
Like Sam Rockwell was like way too good for his role.
Right. And it's kind of funny because in the trivia, the wife and I were talking about how like crap, I can't get his full name formed in my head, but Tech Sergeant Chen actually applied for Guy Fleegman's role. And so it was like, how fucking weird would that have been? Like, I get he can act frenetic, but he's so good at pretending he's on Xanax the entire fucking movie that like everybody's losing their mind and he's just like eating his cheese and crackers, you know, and just like in the background and like, yeah, right. And he's always snacking, right? So he's always got a snack or something. But yeah,
I'll get my boys to get that some W40.
Yeah, right. It was a little sticky, don't you think? You know,
I did kind of like I like his character because he was clever enough to figure out. I was like, well, I'm not going to touch it, but I'm going to supervise you touching it, and you're going to show me how good you are at doing all of this engineering shit.
Right.
So he had a bit more cleverness than, yeah. Yeah. It's just like that. It felt too much meh when I wanted more of Sam Rockwell, I guess. I don't like.
I don't know. His lines are amazing too, though. Like, you know, there's a red thingy coming towards the green thingy, huh? You know,
yeah.
I think we're the green thingy. Yeah,
yeah. Or like,
and then
when they were
is there air? You don't know, like.
Yes, because he was terrified. He was going to be the one that was going to die.
Watch the show, like so. Like all of his lines are gold.
A few minutes later, Sigourney Weaver's characters, we have to get out of here before they kill Guy. Not that anyone else. Like they'd all accepted that he was the one who was going to die. Like it's just like all of the humor around his character I really enjoyed, but like the when they were trying to do the story elements of it, it's just like, eh. Like they introduced this omega-13 and it can travel back by 13 seconds. Like, well, I don't know what's going to happen. And it's just like, now I'm just waiting.
Yeah, or blow up the whole universe. But okay, let's not pay attention to that director. So,
well, clearly not. It's a family-friendly movie. It is not going to get that dark.
Yes, so while I was reading the trivia, so the reason why they brought this down, like from the rating, right, was kind of twofold. They wanted a family-friendly December release, and they needed something to compete with Stuart Little. So think about that when you're watching this movie, that they thought that this movie was kid-friendly enough to compete with Stuart fucking Little, because we have, again, 2 torture scenes, multiple, like, we have a xenocide, like, in the background.
No,
like,
I think it was a terrible
there's that dude's head
around.
on a pike, like, but this is a kid-friendly
I'm doing better
show.
than my lieutenant.
Right.
It's just a terrible decision all around, because no, it's not going to be on the same level as Stuart Little. It shouldn't be kid-friendly. The jokes, as they are not going to land to children. They're going to land to their parents. So
yeah, for sure.
Just make it good for the parents.
Have you seen a lot of like cartoons though? I mean, it's not the same, but there are a lot of jokes in those that are directly aimed at the parents.
Yes.
So
and they're hilarious
fair,
now.
In America, we don't have any characters with a prehensile penis, so I'm not really sure that your cartoons.
But do you remember the multiple very effeminate devils that were weirdly effeminate in the 90s?
Well, like definitely if you want to do Powerpuff Girls, right?
Or the one in Cow and Chicken
point
that would bounce around on his buttocks.
Yeah, I didn't watch that one.
Oh,
so
that
Nickelodeon is a microcosm in cartoons as far as I'm concerned, all right? So I think that should be set up front. Is a lot of weird, crazy shit came out of Nickelodeon that I'm not sure how they got away with it. And then we've got like Avatar: The Last Airbender, right? So like it's all across the board. But
20 years
a lot of but a lot of the weirdness I blame on Nickelodeon in general. Like they thought covering kids in slime was fun, so
like the weird, like in jokes in the cartoons, I remember more from Cartoon Network, because I didn't watch Nickelodeon much when I was a kid, but like the carpet munchers joke at Cow and Chicken was just like, they did what? Oh my god!
Right. And when you're in your 20s and like, oh, nostalgia. What did I get from my childhood? Yeah.
Right? No wonder I was such a strange child.
Okay, so to me, getting back on track, Galaxy Quest, really, though, a lot of the humor is some of my favorite parts. Well, is my favorite parts of the movie, even more, than them lampooning some of the memes and the tropes from Star Trek and that sort of thing, which is also great, right? But like, what would a darker, more serious thing even look like? Like, did they cut some of the action when he starts blowing up Saris's ship after, like, give him red particle beams, blue particle beams, and throw this Coke can at him, Slugger? What did we miss out of the movie that could have made it darker and therefore better?
Well, apparently there was a scene that was cut of Gwen's character, whatever, seducing somebody with her boobs, and then all of a sudden her boobs are out with no explanation, which I don't really care about that, but just like, we could have kept the seduction scene.
Okay. So you wanted to see Sigourney Weaver's boobs. I don't blame you. I'm sure a lot of our audience agrees. But
and like, even in the beginning when she says like there's a TV guide interview of like 6 paragraphs of how her boobs fit in the suit, it's like her boobs fit fantastically in that suit. No wonder.
Right. But that's a real life anecdote. Like that really happened to Jerry Ryan. So, but it's funny too, because like while I'm going through the trivia and watching the show and everything and telling Amber to pay attention to her suit, because she starts up here with everybody else, but the zipper starts migrating. And by the time they get through the chompers, she might as well not be wearing the jacket, because you can full on see her sports bra and everything. And, but I think that's part of, I think that was clearly on purpose without even the seduction scene and whatever. But
yeah, I mean,
they all kind of like a little, like some of, like, he lost his shirt as well. It's kind of like a thing. And the not red shirt, Sam Rockwell guy, he also, like, his look changed over the course of the movie. Like, he stepped down, necklace, something like, he definitely, his character got more personality, which I saw it as like, he went from red shirt, no name guy to a cast member, which is also how it ends when the show gets remade. He becomes an actual cast member.
Well, that, and it's like Hudson, right? So you get some of the early bravado from Aliens, So Hudson,
I mean,
Aliens,
apparently
and then
he deliberately was modeling off of Bill Paxton and Aliens, so maybe that's why I enjoyed it.
Right. Yeah. So you get a lot of the bravado and oh, I'm so cool because I was an extra on this famous TV show, and then you go through mental breakdown and then back into competence, right? Is a little bit his arc. So at the end, when you get the credits from the new adventures of Galaxy Quest and whatever, he's back to that bravado because he's the security chief and he's got a last name and he knows he's going to make it and whatever. But, for a little while, you're like, yeah, right. Not sure. So yeah, it's fun.
And Jane Doe went to Earth.
Right. Yeah. And what's crazy about that actually is that I was telling the wife, so Galaxy Quest actually is in the same universe as Men in Black. And so what you don't realize is that in Men in Black, there's that scene where they pull over the dad with that squid baby. Same family. No, I'm just kidding. But that guy who was driving
that would make car it better.
But that guy who was driving the car is Quelix. So there is a little bit of a crossover, but no, it's not. It's not Tech Sergeant Chin's, but she tells me I need to post more on shitty movie details because I do this to her all the time now, where it started out with a series of unfortunate events because they've got the CGI baby. And so I'd be like, did you know that they actually trained a real baby to do these things or whatever? And so it's gone off the rails now at this point.
How often does she believe you? And how often do you actually mix in facts that are facts, but sound ridiculous just to throw her off?
No, it's always real, true facts, trademarked semansis, but it's always very, very plausible. And these days, I get as far as 3 seconds, and I consider that a win. So, the trick is to catch her in the moment as much as anything, and then she's just something. I don't know. Reactions vary, but the one that got her was when we were doing Fifth Element, and it was they're building Lilu, and I'm like, so contrary to the true story, right? She didn't actually exist as an actress. This is her literally first movie because they're building her for the movie, and she's like, go post that shit on Reddit. What's wrong with you? So anyway, the other thing I was going to mention for Galaxy Quest is Lampooning the Tropes. I loved the core meltdown sequence after they get through the chompers and they're they push the button in 17 seconds. So they're like, oh God, it didn't stop. And he's got to run out and take the garbage. But yeah, the real joke is it always stopped at one in the show because the Thermians are so laser focused into paying attention to the tropes that imagine trying to reverse engineer a spaceship that is warp capable with a bunch of technology that doesn't exist because you saw it on a TV show. That's like taking a napkin design and be like, here is my, world crushing robot. It's crazy. And the poor bastards, they just got annihilated for it. So, but Bad Guy was also fun. So
Bad Guy could have been better.
Okay.
More ridiculous in some way. I don't know. He's just too basic, general, vague.
Isn't that kind of the point of him? He's this.
He could have been even more over the top, maybe.
Tropey, basic.
You want a darker, more serious show with the bad guy who's more over the top.
I like JoJo. Okay, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Go watch that and understand some of the shit that I enjoy.
But
I've seen clips
the
from
only
it.
Guy who's taking the whole thing seriously. That's what I don't understand. I guess the Thermians are taking it seriously and everything, but but they can't not. They don't have a sense of humor that they're aware of. So
I like this whole idea of a race that's so technologically advanced, but have no creativity at all. So they can recreate what they see on a TV show. But they can't really think it up on their own, nor can they understand what fiction is. I thought there was that race is pretty fun. It was fun to watch. The casting for it was also really good.
There was a lot of people in this movie.
Rainn Wilson's first movie.
Yeah, so. Though I think he was just kind of a voiceless extra, and then Justin Long at 15 or something, he was super young.
Yeah. Also, his
Apple guy, right?
So. Yeah, he's never gonna get away from that.
That's who he is. What else did he ever do?
Idiocracy?
Was he in that?
Yeah, he was the doctor.
I don't remember him being in Idiocracy.
Unfortunately, I'm going to have to rewatch it then. But
oh, poor you.
Yeah. I mean, there are good parts of it, but it's quite painful. So, I mean, as somebody who's not on the low end of that spectrum, so...
It is pretty. It is as we move more and more along, right? In history, it is like Idiocracy just becomes more.
The worst thing about Idiocracy is everyone saying that it's a true story. Just enjoy that it's stupid
documentary. So
it's kind of a documentary, right?
Yeah.
At this point,
right?
It's Batman.
Yep.
Well, did he do anything else? I don't. I've seen him in a TV show at some point. I think, but
other movies that I can't remember. I don't know. Go look him up on IMDb. That's what
sure.
We have internet. We are speaking over internet. Use it to its full extent.
I'm trying to create conversation.
Wasn't he? What was the one that you said earlier?
Huh? Idiocracy?
No, before that.
Apple.
Jeepers Creepers. Okay. Yeah, so he was in Jeepers Creepers, so
that's a blast from the past. Jesus, I've not thought about that movie for
my God. Galaxy Quest, it's 2 years after Galaxy Quest. So I mean were they good? I remember them being not good. They are above average for
really
campy bad horror. I don't know. I enjoyed them, but they are actually literally the scariest movies Amber's ever seen. To the point, if I start singing Jeepers Creepers, I get assaulted. There's a couple of horror movies that have good, earworm mnemonic devices like that, like Fallen or Jeepers Creepers are two of my favorites. And so if I really want to get her, I don't even have to jump scare her. I just show up and be like, Jeepers Creepers. And she starts freaking out. I have no idea, but it's hilarious.
She watch a lot of horror movies? Is that the problem?
I mean, she has, but not as he's going to be in Masters of the Universe. They're doing a reboot. Anyway, sorry, that was important news. So this year, 6 episodes.
Yeah, the trailers have already come out. I have not watched them yet.
What?
Yeah.
Man, I need to stop living in a box with my kids. So I need to live in a box by myself like I'm supposed to.
It's all that Destiny and D&D, dude.
Yeah, that's probably what it is. Anyway, so yeah, she's seen a decent amount of horror, but I'm horror, sci-fi, fantasy, right? All of it as much as I can. So okay, so alternate universe stuff, part of the joy of doing this thing, right, is when you're going through the trivia and you see all the other crazy people that they might have cast.
Mm-hmm.
So they wanted Alec Baldwin as Captain Taggart.
Could have worked.
Could have worked.
So?
That could have.
You think he would have
definitely worked.
You think he would have been as serious as Tim Allen was for it?
I think he can do that straight man serious. That's still over the top, tongue in cheek.
Okay.
Yeah, what's his character? And there's this...
30 Rock or something? Because he's done comedic stuff that way. He's an action things in other ways.
And I get that they both take funny roles, but I feel I don't know, Tim Allen I can take seriously, whereas Alec Baldwin, I'm always waiting for the punchline.
Really?
That makes sense. Yeah.
I more remember him, but that's just because I've only seen him in some early 80s, 90s action movies, almost kind of is what I remember. Especially Hunt for Red October, right? That's him.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Because I was I know I had to have seen something that he's actually serious in, but it doesn't come to mind, So when I read that, I was ew, terrible. Hunt for Red October, 1990, Jack Ryan. I mean, yes, at no point am I waiting for a punchline, but he doesn't fill me with action hero-y kind of vibes either. He's an analyst. The Shadow, I should have known, right? That obviously should have been the first thing that I went to.
What's that one?
But
you not seen The Shadow?
The Shadow?
I don't think so.
So of all the obscure things that I never bother like even trying to convey to people, right? And you know how I am about like, oh, you have to see Star Wars, you have to see Galaxy Quest, whatever. The Shadow is it for whatever reason. Like the whole thing, it's like noir pre-Batman. Like that's that should even get
pre-1989 right? Batman.
Like no, like so the movie came out in 1994, but like the Shadow originally was like a radio opera, right? And a serial. Like the Shadow was some of the influences that helped influence and create Batman, if I recall, the timelines and everything correctly. The movie is not great by any stretch, right? I'm a hook you because it literally is noir and that sort of thing, but like it's just no, you're not going to enjoy it. I can't imagine, but
we've been doing recently watching terrible movies. So we've been watching the 1989 Batman, and it's absolutely painful. When we started watching the one with Danny DeVito, because I'm going to watch something stupid with Danny DeVito in it, and it's painful. Yeah, it's taking us days.
That's bad. Yeah. So the Shadow is right in there then. So
okay. I mean, I like noir, so it's like.
Have you not seen Darkman either? Then
what's that?
Oh wow! Yep, add that to the list because Darkman's actually can be good.
What about I like all of them.
The what?
But the Phantom.
Phantom of the Menace?
No, the Phantom.
The Phantom. Like it's same guy as who takes over in Darkman. I don't remember his name, but he's a really good actor.
Right.
Like he does
also not great, but I liked it. Billy Zane as the Phantom.
Yeah, Billy Zane. The guy from The Mummy.
No.
Right. And it's got Liu Kang in it. I mean, come on. So
Billy Zane is not in The Mummy. Billy Zane is the guy in the Titanic.
Didn't he also rock him? Oh. Okay, I guess he just kind of looks like the Mummy guy.
He does definitely look like the guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, is that what we're doing next? We'll do a string of terrible movies.
I mean,
or terrible movies that we liked despite all reason.
Sure.
I mean, guess we're never going to agree with this concept.
It is always fun to laugh at terrible movies. Just,
Shadow of a Doubt. Zing.
And Ben's not here to appreciate.
Yeah, it's fun to laugh at terrible movies.
Well, it's because Ben and EG couldn't face me after not guaranteeing that it was a perfect movie. The director,
Cowards.
She was brave. Yeah, she came to face the wrath. So I gotta admit, there are not a lot of Alec Baldwin movies that I've seen or can remember him in. But
can we come up with a more new quirky name than MST3000?
Right.
Still can't believe you haven't watched Darkman. The first one's got Liam Neeson in it, man. It's so good.
Nice. That one has been a long time since I've seen that, so that I would have to rewatch for sure. So, despite the name thing that is now distracting me, what other kind of like casting choices might you have changed? So Alan Rickman, perfect for his role.
Alan Rickman, perfect.
Rockwell, perfect for his role. I really think they nailed Tech Sergeant Chen. I'm glad they didn't give him Guy Fleegman's role because I'm just like, which other guy on Xanax eating snacks can you get in here? Captain Taggart, like we discussed a little bit, but I think it'd be funny to have Chris Pine do that just because I really don't enjoy Chris Pine's acting at all.
Why?
So he's not the right kind of pretty for me. So, he just...
The point of him isn't to be pretty. I mean, not that he's bad to look at or anything, but he's a decent actor on top of that.
Is he?
I think so.
Would you like to bring some evidence to this?
I enjoyed the Star Trek movie from 2009.
I know you did, okay? So I think he does. Sure. I think he does a convincing Kirk, okay? Yeah. But I don't think he looks the part necessarily. Like he's a little too blonde, but
I really liked him in that spy buddy cop movie with Tom Hardy.
I don't think I've seen that one yet.
Like a romantic plot as well. They're like both spies, and they're in like they want the same girl or something.
That's hilarious.
They spy it up to try and get her. It's pretty funny.
That just sounds funny. I have not heard of this, but that sounds funny.
Oh no, please no. They're doing another Star Trek with him as Kirk. So
yeah, I don't think he was not the problem in that movie or movies.
The best part about
there isn't a problem. If there's a problem, it's J.J. Abrams. But
yeah.
Sure.
What do you mean? You don't like lens flare?
Yeah, right. Confusingly, the best part of Star Trek 2009 is the fact that they got Thor to be his dad and then get killed, except he's not really, but don't pay too much attention. So I would I'm going to break this down for you. We're going to put it in panels so that you can keep up. Okay. We've got a magical form of matter that is so dangerous that a single drop of it can stop an impossible supernova. And then we filled a room with it and put one guy in it in a ship. How could this not possibly rip a hole in space-time? That's the writing of 2000.
So, that's why I said. So. Chris Pine was not the problem with that movie.
Yeah, again, he's not the problem. I would dare say he is a problem with that movie, though.
So. I did not watch the Wonder Woman movies. I have no interest in it, but from what I saw of trailers, he seemed to be the best part of them.
He was okay. He's not a bad part.
Gal Gadot is going to be the best part of them. No matter how terrible the movies are, she at least shows up and does her job.
She shows up and she's pretty, but I don't think she's a very good actor.
I think she's a good Wonder Woman. Yes, she is also pretty. That's great. But that's not the summation of Wonder Woman. It's not the 70s. You can't just say that anymore.
I'm saying,
director.
I did not watch because I did not think she'd be able to do it well. She would not be able to have a good character when her acting, other than just set props and being pretty.
No. So go watch the movies.
Okay? No, thank you.
I mean, we got to get back to Chris Pine so you can tell me a second movie that he's been good in, okay? Because one movie that I hated is not a really good case.
That's fine.
Go watch the first Wonder Woman. It's bad, but the things that are bad were not related to Gal Gadot, okay? The things that were bad were the writing and the fact that they thought that Lupin, with his mustache, was the god of war, that was the guy that was like, ooh, man, when you think about the God of War, it's got to be Lupin with that fucking mustache. Are you kidding me? Who thought that was a good idea?
I think 2/3 of Wonder Woman's good. It's the ending that's bad, really. I don't know what they did, but it feels out of place as fuck. I almost feel like they reshot or something.
Yeah. So I am going through his list while we're looking here, and there, of course, every time I see Star Trek triggers me. But
Horrible Bosses is a good movie. I don't remember.
Vampire Lawyer with Chris Pine. I feel like I should watch that.
See,
Into the Woods, but I don't remember him in it. So
there's some random movie I remember watching with him and Denzel Washington about an uncontrollable train.
Yeah, that's really good.
Unstoppable, I'm assuming.
Probably. It was fun. Both him and Denzel Washington and what's that woman's name? Whatever. I don't know. It was they were very good actors for a plot that was kind of not as important as it should have been.
I've heard good things about Outlaw King, but
a movie called Unstoppable about
I remember watching that
train, and you're saying that wasn't enough of the plot.
The Unstoppable Train, it was just it's not quite as serious as they were trying to make it, but they were acting it very well. The Outlaw King, I did enjoy. Yeah, I don't remember any problems with it, but I don't know.
Apparently, he voices Spider-Man in Into the Spider-Verse.
Mm-hmm.
He did a random part in American Dad that I thought was fun too.
Yeah, he does Miles Morales' Spider-Man before, taking it over, right? So as a voice actor, I don't hate his voice. That was pretty good.
He did.
He hasn't been in
of American Dad, and I didn't know who the voice was, and I was impressed with him that he was actually acting it and not just famous person doing lines. Mm-hmm. It's I couldn't even identify that as
West. Seriously, it's he didn't even try. in Family Guy. So.
Apparently, there's a Dungeons and Dragons movie coming with him in it.
Yes.
Yeah, yes. That's also going to be hilarious.
I mean, they've been great so far.
It's going to be like every other D&D movie. It's going to be terrible, and the actors are going to be so serious about it, but somehow they're still not going to get it, and they're not going to figure it out. And like Jeremy Irons, like go watch that one. Like I think it's so good because it's so bad. Like
This Means War is the movie I was talking about, by the way. The spy movie. The spy movie he's in with Tom Hardy, where they fight over a girl.
Yeah, what was it called?
This Means War.
Okay. Yeah.
It is.
I don't know.
Genuinely, like, it's a good movie. Really liked it. Might rewatch it actually.
You've been saying Tom Hardy this entire time, and I was confused to see Tom Hardy in this poster because I had Tom Holland in my head. So yes, it's gone up about 10 more points because it's not like a juvenile thing. It's now like two serious actors.
Yeah, that's like I might need to watch this because Tom Hardy is also someone that could just watch doing dumb shit and enjoy.
Like I haven't seen. Was it Southpaw? Was his boxing movie, or like he did a boxing movie, right?
I thought that was Jake Gyllenhaal, but I haven't seen that movie.
Okay, in any case, like he did one after Inception. And I was like, man, I should really watch this, but I really don't enjoy boxing movies. So it's like...
They both, Gyllenhaal and Hardy, have done a boxing movie. Or I think Hardy's is actually more of an MMA movie, if I remember correctly.
Warrior, I think. Yeah. Yeah, because he did it in 2011 and Inception was 2010. So
it's good. It's a good movie. I mean, I'm not sure Hardy can be in bad movies, or if they're bad, they become good.
Right. Star Trek Nemesis. Andreas, are you telling me that Star Trek Nemesis is a good movie?
I tell you what, I mean, could have been worse.
Yeah, no, it could have been worse. It's what, second or how many did they do? 3 or 4? 3? Generations, Insurrection, Nemesis, First Contact, obviously, so 4. So it's like the second or third best of those 4 movies. So.
I mean, the best one by like a mile is the Borg one.
Yeah, First Contact. So
yeah,
can't believe I almost left it off the list. I'm sorry. So I'll turn in my comm badge on the way out. But yeah, no, that's one of those that was like when I went back years later after finding out who Tom Hardy actually was, and I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, it actually does make the movie better knowing that, but it's still terrible. Like, why they decided to. Anyway, speaking of, so getting back towards Galaxy Quest, neat design note that Saris's ship is like the Planet Eater and a Daenerys Warbird had a baby. See, that's the Romulan connection. Only my brain could have made that, but no. But yeah, I enjoyed the fact that Saris was like, this was real life for him. Whereas like we're watching the actors play actor, like he accuses them of at the end. When they finally get back like all their mojo and their skills and shit, and Tommy can actually fly. And
I know a bad actor when I see one, so you're sweating.
Right. Which is, so great. Like what you fail to realize is that my ship is dragging mines, and the whole like, can you get closer to these? And they're like, the hell? We just blew up the ship last time. What's wrong with you? So anyway. Yeah.
Did you enjoy the fact that this kind of gone recursive and Galaxy Quest is spoofing Star Trek, but Galaxy Quest is like the main source that J.J. Abrams took for the Star Trek movies?
No, of course I didn't enjoy that. Like, I cannot believe that J.J. Abrams sat there and was like, who was a really good villain that I'd like you to mirror? Like, no, that's stupid. So, especially coming from somebody who, like, rumors were that he would fire people from the set of Star Trek 2009 that knew too much about Star Trek. So instead he got, it's anecdotal. I don't know that I've ever seen like a source, but there was a story or not like an article or something. I don't remember where I got introduced to it, but like there had been a rumor or whatever you want to call it that like they were designing, like their mess hall or whatever. I was going to say 10 forward, but that's the Enterprise D, but they were designing it. And one of the one of the stagehands was like, you can't do this on the ship. The ship's this big. This window is going to be this big. It's going to be too big for the model. And he's like, you're fired. Get out. It's like, okay. So like I said, I've got a lot of random anecdotes, many of them actually based in fact in his interviews, but I really dislike him and his take on Star Trek. So, and just in general.
It is, but I mean, there's almost like, there's this really big disconnect between anything old era, if you want to say that, that's like, I guess that ended with Deep Space and Voyager, right? Like the next generation era of Star Trek. And then the next thing that happened was like this reboot and the Picard show and the other Star Trek show that on Netflix that I can't remember the name of right now. And there's like a big disconnect between those, right? Like they don't really care about this, how the old Star Trek was, almost.
Right. Well, and it's kind of a shame because, like, I've always liked Star Trek and Star Wars, but for different reasons, right? Star Trek has always done better with the hard science and real direct motivations,
space
and stuff
diplomacy
like that.
Kind of things.
Yeah,
no, like,
and Star Wars. Star Wars is your sword and sorcery, your magic, and sci-fi fantasy stuff. Like, don't get me wrong, a lot of Star Trek's technology is way out there, but they usually try to make it internally consistent. Whereas, like, Star Wars is like, you want to see me pull an X-wing out of a swamp? Want to see me pull a Star Destroyer from deep orbit? Like, that sort of shit. Where it's just like, Star Wars is like Merlin, where it's like he just does magic because that's how magic works. Whereas Star Trek is like, yes, it's magic, but we've got rules, types of things. And they're different focuses. Like, Star Wars focuses on the hero story, whereas like Star Trek focuses on like, society and technology and solving problems, that kind of way. But I really feel like Abrams was like, we're just going to have more blasters. We're just going to have, like, Spock's going to show up and he's just going to close the supernova black hole with his force powers, or some stupid shit like that. Like, his stuff is more actiony and it's more, just that level of kind of ridiculous. It's also obviously got a decent amount of his, spy action bullshit with, Mission Impossible and whatever else. It's like, what if we fall from low orbit onto this drilling platform that is about to blow up Vulcan? Wouldn't that be a cool scene? Or why don't we set off a cold fusion bomb inside of a volcano? Because that's not how fucking cold fusion works. And anybody who writes for Star Trek would know that. That's not what cold fusion means, guys. So, cryogenic, yes, fine. Cold fusion, no. And like, yes, I know, I'm a raving lunatic.
Yeah, but no, it's fair, but it's not just. I guess JJ maybe kind of set the tone, right? But it's also like in the new Star Trek show on Netflix. Though I've heard the third season actually gets good.
Third season
there.
Yeah, I'm still confused as to what Netflix show you're talking about. So,
is it
are you talking about Orville?
Is it Discovery, whatever it's called, the one where it can jump through space and time?
That's okay. Yeah, sorry, I forget. You're in Europe, so it's on Netflix for you, but for us, it's on Paramount Plus, is what they're calling it now. So it was CBS All Access. Yeah. So yes, in Discovery, they kind of like unhook it from, whatever the hell they were doing in 1 and 2. 2 really became. Like, 1, they tried to do their own thing, and I don't feel like it worked especially well. 2, I felt like they were trying to do another trend that I've seen, especially with Filoni and Star Wars, where it's like they got to run into the main cast from the previous shows, whether it makes sense or not. And then 3, they finally were like, they did what people should do, and they flung them into the far fucking future and said, what's that going to look like? And it wasn't universally perfect because, again, they had to bring crazy, stupid magic into it. Like, in no way does this possibly relate to the laws of physics or anything like that. So there were problems, but like, the story beats themselves were a little better in general. Yeah. Because what I was going to say, like, tying that back into it, is like, Hollywood, I feel like, has gone through a trend for a while, actually, where they like, let's take a really good thing and then we'll make a prequel of it. And it's like, it's so hard to do a prequel like that honors the original content. So they're like, fuck that noise. We don't need to pretend that, Star Wars is going to happen in 10 years or whatever. We're just going to do a prequel. And it's like, why? Why do you do that to yourselves? What if you want to imagine something new? Why don't you just take the beats and make something new?
Yeah.
Or B, why don't you just go into the far future where you can make shit up? And so Discovery finally got that, but you had Enterprise, like, it goes back a while, like.
It is very tiring with this. Like, when there's like something new in a universe, often like especially these things where it has not been planned out as well as say Marvel movies, for example. They for a long time now they have a good idea about how the overarching everything hangs together and it's going to happen mostly.
Right.
But like, for example, these like prequel movies to Star Wars that was made a bajillion years ago, they had no idea they were going to make more. And where it's like, you have this and you have all these books now, and you have all this interesting lore you can draw from, and you have an entire, is it a solar system universe in theory, right? A big world to work with here. Why does it have to be connected to the Skywalkers or something like that? Why can't we have something new? Why isn't story on a completely different, and they have kind of started to do that, right?
Well,
but even then,
and that's my problem with the modern take on Star Wars, is that everything somehow relates back to the Skywalkers. Whereas, like, again, I feel like the Star Wars story allowed for more individual heroes, right? It's not to say that Star Trek, that Kirk, Picard, Worf, whoever, weren't heroes, right? It's not like they didn't do heroic shit on a day-to-day basis, right? But that wasn't really the like defining flavor of the show. Whereas, like, in Star Wars, you've got Wedge Antilles, you got Han Solo, you got Leia, you got Luke, you got Lando Calrissian. How many of those guys have the last name of Skywalker, right? You have these individual heroes that all become generals in the Return of the Jedi and everything like that. But then somehow in the sequels, we got to tie everybody to the Skywalkers, right? And that it's like the prequels kind of make sense, that it's like, let's make this the story about Darth Vader. And then if you squint and look sideways, you can hook that into, the original trilogy, which is like, okay, that's the continuing saga of Anakin Skywalker as Darth Vader, right? But that didn't mean that the sequels needed to be that. He's fucking dead. He's been dead for how many decades? Like, Palpatine is dead. Like, let's move on. Let's write a story, like, new heroes. Finn, Poe, none of them are Skywalkers. Like,
if there ever was a character where I've just seen have potential get murdered on screen and reduced to nothing, it's Finn's character in this new Star Wars trilogy.
Yeah,
fuck me, man.
Yep. Yeah, it's a huge travesty how they handled him, in my opinion, And again, guess what? If he had been the big hero, like I feel like he should have been, he wouldn't have been a Skywalker. Like, could you imagine how that would have been? Like, Finn's a Skywalker. Excuse me? It's only been a couple of decades. Maybe, like, does Leia have some explaining to do? Like, she had a wild past, right? So.
Yeah. And anyway, the baby became a stormtrooper somehow. Like,
right. Yeah. I mean, it would make sense why she's so pissed off at the First Order. They stole her baby and brainwashed him to be a stormtrooper.
I mean,
if anything, my baby should be running the joint.
I feel like we almost just came up with a better story than what we got.
Yeah, we kind of did.
Almost anything would have been a better story. Like, yeah. So
somehow, Palpatine has returned.
Right. Yeah.
I feel like EG is just gonna pop in any second now just to rave about it.
Right. So before we do that, to make him look really crazy, let's get back on Galaxy Quest. So
okay, you can try.
Yeah, I can try. Yeah, I love it. I mean, like I said, in the pre-show especially, like, I quote the shit out of that movie. It's been freaking 22 years, and on an almost daily basis, like, it just became such a trope for us. So the technology, the tropes, the humor, the aliens, it's real life for them, but these guys are just fucking around because they got beamed up and they don't know what else to do with. So
yeah, his scream when after like speculum poke in their face. Like that was a very good moment. It was like he was too good for that role.
Right. And Sigourney Weaver's real jump,
Yeah.
So, yeah. What's eating them? Yeah, so.
How's your Ellen Rickman? How's your blood eel soup or whatever?
Yeah, blood tick soup. Yeah, just like Mother used to make, and the fact that it's like living bugs, just like Klingons would eat. So, but running into this squishy Thermian who is like the warrior, race of, these guys. Sorry, Andreas, go ahead.
I think that's probably I enjoyed the movie, and I could definitely there was I'm more of a next generation and forward kind of Star Trek guy. Like that's what I've seen. Not all of it, but a lot of it. So there's probably a lot of like the more campy reference to some of the old school Kirk era shit that I just didn't pick up on. But I think they did. Help? What?
Does the rolling help? Stuff like that,
Oh,
you don't.
Yeah, sure.
When they're down on the planet, and he's rolling, and it's like, does the rolling help? Where's your gun? So just the whole. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
Right. No, I got it now. Yeah, that's pretty good. I think they did well. They kind of I guess they did. It wasn't dark enough or over the top enough for Alex, but I think they walked the line just fine.
I think they hamstrung themselves by clearly doing something that was more visceral and then changing their mind to compete with Stuart Little.
Yeah.
In no way does that make sense.
Makes sense. In a way that only makes sense to Hollywood executives, right?
Right. And they should have told those people to fuck off.
Right. What in what possible world would anybody come up with that idea and it not immediately get shot down? That's a terrible idea. Let's wait 6 months to release the movie in the summer or something. What the fuck? What were you possibly thinking? And, it's probably the same guy or in the same league of guys that have tanked a dozen other decent movies because they don't know how to advertise them or whatever. But these guys make tens of millions of dollars, whatever, per movie practically. And they just come up with the stupidest fucking takes. And then let's not listen to the fans because what do they know? They only go see every fucking movie 6 times, and just all this other stuff. It just, it boggles my mind. One of the other things I was going to ask is so they, in the trivia, you get one beat, but they had talked about making a sequel for a little while, except that they decided to cancel it when Alan Rickman died, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So I guess my question would be what would they even do? Because it's think about it by the end. You have an actual crashed half of a spaceship in this convention center, right? They obviously get a reboot of the show somehow. And so I'm which government spook agency is owning that spaceship now? Is the CIA got them on set, feeding them lines?
Connecting it to Men in Black.
Right.
It's that makes perfect sense. There was the spooks that said, no, you can't have to know this, but the Thermians aren't going to pay attention to the Men in Black. They're going to go to their historical document people.
Right.
So that their kind of simplistic decision making would pull them into some whatever new shenanigans, but the Men in Black angle actually makes it a lot better.
Yeah, right.
Except, wouldn't the Men in Black have if you take the whole Men in Black universe in, they would know about these aliens, they would know about the bad guy, and they would for sure have scanners to know that an alien vessel was around, all that stuff.
Well, I'm just saying this one got through the gaps, right?
Yeah.
That it's they made the show. The Men in Black aren't monitoring what's on the other side of a black hole for incoming threats, right? If the Thermians are off by themselves in a little pocket of the universe, that could have slipped through the gaps. And then it's you're not neuralizing the entire convention center. Not that they couldn't, because, Men in Black 2, I think they've got the street level and the Statue of Liberty, for fuck's sake, at one point. But, I think it'd be funny for them to show up, play it off, move the prop, that's a spaceship, and then start feeding them new episodes so that hopefully the Thermians are out there watching to make this new technology or whatever. And it's on the flip side of that, if the Thermians and humans in this case start a new federation with the National Space Exploration Agency, then like, okay, so you got half a spaceship and they're 200 dudes on another half of a spaceship. Like, what does that even look like? Who's the bad guy this time? I don't know. It was just fun to think about. So maybe we'd get the dark one. Maybe they'll fight xenomorphs this next time, and then you can really have Sigourney Weaver like get in the power suit and like use a flamethrower and shit. So.
This movie being darker. When they crashed at that convention center,
yeah, how many people should have been smushed to death?
Like, how many people? Surely some people died. Like, hello.
At a very minimum, like hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of property damage. But yes, like I've been to those conventions. Many nerds died to bring you that scene. Like, so that was. And speaking of, that was another thing that was kind of funny because like Amber has only been to like the Salt Lake Comic Con stuff as far as like big cons go. So she's like, is it really kind of like this? And I'm like, oh yeah, especially like back in the like 80s and 90s before, the Comic Cons were like super taking off, right? Like obviously they have been, but and some of those have been around for several decades, like San Diego Comic Con and that sort of thing. But yeah, like especially if you've got like a single purpose con for like Star Trek and whatever, yeah, it didn't seem weird for me at all. Even the anecdote about them ripping on Taggart, in the bathroom, like the two kids going, that's pulled from a Shatner anecdote from a convention. So it's just like, again, they're just pulling in so much real life stuff to write the movie for them practically, so, but you hated it. I get it.
It was just like, I wouldn't call it perfect. It was a lot of the things I dislike about it. I can go right back to the decision of trying to compete with Stuart Little. The few things that I did like about it were because the actors were way too good for what their role of like, I'm not going on that stage and nothing you can say can change my mind. The show must go on.
Right. Give him a hand. He's British. So, yeah.
So it's just Alan Rickman being miserable is so good. And Sam Rockwell was like way too good in the parts that he had. But there's like, it should have been more like that, more One Punch Man level of crazy parody that was still really funny, even if you take away the parody.
All I see is the parody. So I don't know why it wouldn't be funny anyway. Like just the whole like, oh, I see you got your shirt off, or oh, it's all about you, isn't it? When he just like inexplicably stays behind on the planet to like
right. So, but some of those references, it's like I didn't know that Kirk lost his shirt in every hand fight that he got in. So that's a reference that went over my head because I'm not the target audience because the people who are were the people 30 in 1999.
I mean, it is a kind of Shatner reference, but at the same time, it's like, I mean, it's your standard heartthrob actor, right? How many times does Chris Hemsworth, Chris Pine, whoever get their shirt off in a movie? That's an acting trope as much as anything. Thor spends a lot of time shirtless for a guy who can literally summon armor from Asgard. Like I'm just saying, like, and you didn't notice, man? Maybe I am gay. I don't know. So no. Just kidding.
If you haven't noticed, I pay a lot of attention to boobs.
I am appreciating that. There's an intersection in interest there. So yeah. But I mean, Sigourney Weaver almost got her shirt off, but it's still the 90s, so that's too titillating for child audiences. So
I have a child inside.
Yeah, right. Stuart Little ruined it for everybody, but we almost got to see her topless, but they had to ruin it. No, I'm just, yeah.
What movie should we do next time?
It's a good question. I kind of got my sci-fi thing. So what else do we got on the list? Or should we just assign somebody to pick it? Like we sort of did?
Either way. We've got a bunch on the list, but probably should clear that up a little bit. We could continue the sci-fi if that's like just if you're primed for it and you can name something.
Well, I mean, Stargate was your pick, right? God, should we get Van Helsing out of the fucking way? It's not a perfect movie. There isn't like any way. This isn't even adjacent. Like, I'm a put Independence Day before Van Helsing. All right, I said it. So
who put
we could do Die Hard. That would be a change of pace.
What? So, who? Die
Hard. Maybe we should save that for Christmas if we're still doing this topic at Christmas.
So. We are. This is like our. We don't want to think about what to talk about. Let's watch a movie thing. It works great.
I would like to have a run of like forcing each other to watch bad movies just to hurt, and it's kind of funny. But I don't know. We can't do that until we have a nice plucky name for it.
About watching movies that make us hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got nothing right now.
Master and Commander, maybe? That was a good movie.
Never seen it.
Where am I going to find the 4 hours required to watch said movie? Like
when your children are asleep, clearly.
Yeah, I'm going to donate all my video game time to watching Master and Commander. So.
It's a good movie.
Watch it with Amber. Sit down.
Or Emperor's New Groove, maybe. That's come up several times in discussion, and you can watch it with your children.
Yes, I mean, will again, probably, apparently in the next 2 weeks. So,
what about Donnie Darko? That's probably one you could watch with the kids.
No, I wouldn't say so.
No, definitely not that. But I was like, it would be a dark movie for the director, so she can get her.
Have you seen Donnie Darko?
I have seen Donnie Darko a few times.
Okay, good. It's a perfect movie.
Or we could do The Mist or Children of Men to get that dystopian,
Do you want happy, and you've seen before with your children, Emperor's New Groove, or do you want dark dystopian?
Kind of want dark and dystopian this time, but I sort of picked last time. Today, that's what I feel. Like, I could watch these movies. Emperor's New Groove, I'm not actually sure it's been 2 weeks since I've seen it. So that's what I'm saying there, right? Like, it is entirely possible and likely I'm going to walk downstairs and it will be on. It's that good of a movie. And
this movie is so good.
Yeah.
If we're going to watch, like, and maybe that's the reason. I really think we should watch that documentary too. And that might be too much time for you right now.
Oh.
Well, I mean, I would definitely watch that over the movie. Like, again, Emperor's New Groove is one of those I could just quote, So if I watch it, it's going to be because we don't have anything else on and we needed a quick kid-friendly movie. Whereas like After Hours, I would have to watch the documentary. So, but yeah, I mean, that's, if I'm a vote for something, it would be more dystopian or whatever. But
wait, dystopian can be good. Children of Men?
I really like Children of Men.
It's a good movie.
Yeah.
It is a good movie.
Okay, so you've seen that one
I have
too.
seen it, yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those movies where it's like 99 times out of 100 I bring it up and people are like, Children of what now? And I'm like, go watch this movie. Like, it's inexplicably good.
It's been out for like 15 years or something.
It's it's very...
Movies, they're 20 years old, but...
Like, you get more people pegged on, I like this actor, so I'm going to watch this movie than people who go in knowing what the movie's about or anything like that.
But Julianne Moore and was Clive Owen, right? And Michael Caine, unless I'm mixing up with the other old guy.
No, I think that's right.
Caine's in it, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
The main guy that I can never remember the name of, you just said
I think that's Clive Owen.
Yeah. I feel like he's kind of underrated.
I don't see him in many things, but he killed it in that movie.
Yeah, it is Michael Caine and Clive Owen for sure. So, and Julianne Moore, good job. Mm-hmm. It's been a little while since I've seen it, but for a long, long time, it seemed like our family had seen it, and like in amongst the rest of our friends, we were like, "Go watch the movie. It's good. It's a great dystopia that doesn't have zombies in it." So if zombies aren't your thing, go watch this movie. So
did you have to like write off those people when they said zombies weren't for them? And just
not necessarily. Zombies is one.
Anymore.
Yeah, zombies is one. That's a particular flavor, and I admit that I I am the odd duck out, especially for zombies. When it comes to Star Trek and Star Wars, no. I think they're iconic and open enough that people should watch them, and I'm happy to expound upon the reasons why and why I enjoy them and whatever. I've got if anything makes me look like a total nutter, and other than talking right now, it's zombies. I'm on the record, and I'll go again right now, that one of the recent trends, especially in the last 10 years or so, has been let's make zombies sympathetic, or what if there's a cure, or whatever, all that bullshit. No. If you try to bite me and turn me into a zombie, I'm gonna shoot you twice in the face. Okay. And when they come out with a cure and put me on trial for all the people that I killed, I will go down with that ship. I am happy to defend the human race. This is my line. If you try to eat people, you're on the outside. No matter, for all time. No cures, no nothing.
Which zombie movie did you probably enjoy? Would you say somebody had? Which one did you enjoy the most?
So again, I assume I'm on an island by myself with all of this. My two favorite movies, for the most part, are the Dawn of the Dead reboot.
Is that the one in the mall?
Zack Snyder, yes, The Mall.
I love that
movie. Land of the Dead. It's not great, but it's really good for zombie movies.
If I were to pick two, we got 50-50. I agree with you on one of them.
Have you seen Land of the Dead, but you didn't like it, or
the newest one?
Army of the Dead, no thank you. So Land of the Dead has Dennis Hopper as the bad guy, I think. Yeah, Dennis Hopper. It's fantastic. John Leguizamo is his
shitty movies.
It's so Waterworld and Land of the Dead. Yeah, he's the bad guy in Waterworld.
I have not seen Waterworld all the way through. I've only seen bits and pieces.
Wow.
Speed was one of the terrible movies that we've watched recently. I was like, what the hell is happening in this? And that he was that, and then also the Mario movie. The Mario movie was actually a whole lot of fun.
Yeah, yes. But yes, Speed is great. I mean, come on. Of all the action one-liners, even better than some motherfuckers are always trying to ice skate uphill. You're welcome. When he's going on and they're wrestling on top of the train, and he's like, well, I'm smarter than you and I'm better than you and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, well, I'm taller. It's every time.
Speed is unironically a very good action movie.
I disagree. It was really dumb. I'm sure I understand why people enjoy it.
Are you gonna say Die Hard is dumb too?
No.
Speed is good. I'm sorry. I like Speed. So there's the premise of Speed is not great, but all the other ingredients are good. That's it's like saying I don't enjoy spaghetti, right? But you got good noodles, you got good sauce, you got good meat. I'm gonna enjoy it, and that Speed, the action-y, we can't slow down past 50 miles an hour on this giant bus. I don't give a shit about all that, but the rest of it is good. The detective parts and the counterplay and the actors, all of it, man. So.
Not Sandra Bullock's best day. I don't know. Maybe she was being directed wrong, but just her character was annoying.
Fair enough. Okay. So yeah, okay. So what's your other good zombie movie? Because we're 10 over. We got to know the answer to this.
I really, I don't know if you're gonna hate me for this. I really like Zombieland.
No, yeah, Zombieland's great. I think so. So I'm serious about my zombie movies, and like I said, I'm on an island by myself for this, right? I tried to show one of my girlfriends Dawn of the Dead, and she started laughing at some of the scenes that I was taking seriously, and I turned that shit off. I'm not here for you to laugh at Dawn of the Dead. All right, that man has his arm eaten off. That's not funny. And you can watch funny zombie movies, but that's not necessarily going to make them good for me. Zombieland is fantastic. All of that aside, but it doesn't quite take the top spot. If anything, I'm gonna put Shaun of the Dead up there. It's going to be tough because I really dug Shaun of the Dead. Zombieland is really great, but when people ask me my review, because a lot of my friends go figure, know this thing about me. I was like, Zombieland is like the second best resource for surviving the zombie apocalypse since the Zombie Apocalypse Guide, written by Mel Brooks' kid. So Max Brooks, right? It's been a while. But anyway, so yeah, Zombieland's fantastic. I got nothing there for that, but it doesn't, though that's not what I would start people on, right? Maybe it should be, but zombies is serious business. So, but yeah, if you want something off kilter that was also fantastic that very few people know about, is like, I think the BBC did one called Dead Set, and it's like a 4-episode miniseries, and I like bought the DVD. That was one of those like, yes, I know it's international shipping. Yes, I know this is weird. I would like you to send me a DVD of the show. Like one of those, like I enjoyed that. But again, like that's more like you came over if you want something weird and different, we'll put this on. But the premise is they're filming Big Brother for all of about 25 minutes when the zombie apocalypse breaks out. Okay, and so you've got like the actors and the staff like trying to sort it out, but it's actually fairly serious from what I remember. It's been a while since I've seen that too, but yeah. We're about to start a second hour of me talking about zombie movies, because if you thought that I was passionate about Star Trek and Star Wars, I just know I don't have as big an audience for the zombie ones.
I mean, it was like vampires, then it was zombies, right? Well, now it's none of them, I guess. There's no monster kind of thing now.
Zombies kind of petered out. They've been saying like early on, they were like, oh, it's oversaturated, blah, blah, blah. Same thing with Marvel, right? They've been saying that for years at this point. But yeah, people just stopped making them. And that's why I was excited for Army of the Dead, because it was going to be like a new good movie theoretically, but no.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take my old ones. Thank you. So
I guess how you feel about zombies, that's how I feel about vampires, like books and movies. I can never get enough.
Vampires are fun. Mm. Like they're often stupid, but it's fun.
Yeah, I've read some dumbass book series just because it was vampire related. Like now that I read better books and I go back, it's like, man, this was not great.
No, clearly you were just desperate for something. Like I've done that.
And I think it's the lack of what I feel like is good content, and also the fact that vampires again are like very clearly outside my monster wall, and people like to try and sell me that they're sympathetic and be like, stab the fucker in the heart. Like, I don't give a shit that he's sexy. I don't care about that. Like zombie pinups, right out. We don't do sexy zombies, right? No matter how hot you are, if you dress up as a zombie, not doing it for me, all right? Vampires, pretty much the same thing. Now, I'm going to admit, vampires are very sexy monsters, incubus, succubus, all that nonsense. Like, if they eat me, I know what my vice was in that moment, right? but that doesn't mean I'm like, ooh, let's go see Twilight because of all the pretty vampires or whatever. Like, no, thank you. So
I mean, I kind of like the human vampire trope thing, like not more, less so. I also enjoy the monstrous vampires, but I like the more human vampires. Not so much tending towards the sexy vampires, but humans that are vampires. Kind of thing, not so much monster vampires.
What's like the best vampire of that type of description that you would say, movie or show or whatever?
Humans that are vampires. I don't like movie on the top of my Interview with Vampire. That's very much. They're not monsters.
Yeah,
aren't they? They ate a little girl, and they kept her around for all time. Like.
Yeah,
that's just the one that comes to mind right now. But
yeah, I mean, they had very
Lestat
human
feels
vices
bad about it, right? Or what was the other one? So
Louis. That was a very good movie.
30 Days of Night is more
a good movie.
Monstrous vampires.
Yes, I mean that to me that's like tippy top of that's Exhibit A as far as like if you want to be afraid of vampires and like understand why they must all be hunted down and destroyed.
Not seen it.
So, really, wow. Ooh, I've only seen it once because that was enough. But it's a really good movie, but it really crosses some of my lines, right? Like basically 30 Days of Night because we're in Alaska and the sun goes down the whole time. Makes perfect sense why vampires would hunt there, because none of those things are problems for them. And they basically eat an entire town, like gruesomely. Like it was a very bloody comic series. And so like, yeah, some of the best parts I'm like, I want to tell you, but you should experience them. Like, but yeah, that one's not one that I find myself revisiting just because it pushes those buttons, which is part of why it makes it good. But also, yeah, like Leon the Professional, great movie, tough to watch for me. So,
I love that movie.
Yeah, because for me, dig on Blade. Blade hunts other vampires. Also, Underworld. I'm sorry I said it. I mean, she's smoking hot anyway, but also, badass vampires.
She is so hot, but
she's ridiculously, inhumanly hot.
Inhumanly hot.
Possibly a real life vampire because she's been typecast as real life vampires and multiple things. But
I mean, she's also in the Van Helsing movie. It's just like
right.
Yes, the movie's dumb, but you get to see her in that stupid outfit.
And League of Extraordinary Gentlemen as a vampire, like just.
I don't think that was fun. Her.
That's not her.
Yep, wasn't it?
I don't think so. I think that was a different woman.
Yep.
But I do understand that they look similar.
I mean, she was certainly cast because of the look then. Holy shit. Yeah, that's amazing. I've been misled for a long time on that one. So
yeah, I only like a month ago did I realize Renee Zellweger was not
in
Liar
Nikita,
Liar.
Right? It's Nikita who's
it was La Femme Nikita. I wasn't sure if I would actually get that reference, but yeah.
Right. I saw that as like a kid teenager. It's a good show.
Yeah, I don't know why I watched that so much as a kid, because if I look back,
I know why I watched it. It was on, and she was hot, and like it was mildly interesting.
Weird. It was weird, but it was like watched that a lot as a child.
But
there you go. Now we have other topics we could expand on at some point in the future. So go through all of our movie monsters. Maybe let's make it weird, right? Let's do the sexy scale of movie monsters. Be like, so The Thing probably way down at the bottom, unless you guys have got a fetish, which is totally okay. It's the 21st century, but
Hobbits at the top.
Really?
I mean,
short chicks with hair on their feet do it for you. That's
good
to know.
They're not even monsters. I was just making a joke.
I mean, kind of. They're definitely non-human entities, but yeah. But yeah, I mean, to get the monster label, I'm definitely like the whole like if you eat people, that's a pretty clear delineation. So. Like losing control and eating people, sympathetic. Sorry, gonna have to put you down. Like dogs are the same thing. I love dogs, but if you eat a person, you're on the outside of that. Sorry, my dude. But yeah. Anyway,
I thought of I Am Legend, which is kind of a mix of both vampire and zombie, right?
Yeah. It could have been so good, and it was just pretty good.
Yeah, there's a lot of things like that. No, I kind of agree. Like I enjoyed it at the time, but just like it could have been better.
Yeah, the alternate scene, the alternate ending is absolutely better.
That's the book ending, right? The alternate ending.
No, but it gets it closer. I don't think so anyway. Like but it gets the theme right, if nothing else, because like, I mean, if you Charlton Heston, right, was the original movie take on that one kind of gets it better, and that one is not great, but he does a great job with it, and I kind of dig the end because it's one of those like spit at fate types of endings, because they kind of have him strung up at the end, if I remember right. But anyway, so
yep,
we were way more excited about that than Galaxy Quest. So,
maybe comments on the.
Yeah, I like the movie. I don't know how much like I had to say about it.
Perfect.
Everything is encapsulated of it should not be trying to compete Stuart Little.
Yeah, it stands on a pedestal by itself. That's all you need to say for Galaxy.
And all of the rest
of
the
seventh. Star Trek. There's like 12 Star Trek movies, and it's the 7th best. All right, put that into perspective. So, Galaxy Quest is up there with Orville. If you want really good Star Trek and you haven't seen it in a couple of decades, then go watch.
I have not seen Orville, but the people involved make me wonder.
You got to get a couple of episodes in before I feel like it's good. But then they stopped trying to do like Rick and Morty, where like every episode or every scene somebody's drunk. The pilot, not the show pilot, but the ship pilot. But then there's literally like an episode that we watched before Amber and I started doing our TNG rewatch, and I'm like, this episode could be lifted from Star Trek: The Next Generation. Like, it is so spot on, like all the themes and everything. And it's like it's clear that he and his team have seen Star Trek and understand the themes. They just also, but what if they were drunk? How funny would that be? Or whatever. Which is what I didn't like about Lower Decks, because they were like, what if it was Rick and Morty? No, we've got Rick and Morty. Let that be that. Let Star Trek be Star Trek.
Yeah, don't stop trying to copy the thing that was successful. Just do your own thing.
Right.
Okay. Well, we'll figure out something else next time or whatever.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.